Good afternoon, Rotary Club of Cincinnati. It's so great to see you on this day after the Day of Love. I'm in love with all of you and everything that you do for this community. Let's begin our meeting as we normally do with the national anthem led by Hux Miller, accompanied by Janet Metzeler. Hux. Thank you, Hux and Janet. As we begin our prayer, will you keep in your thoughts and prayers the family of Ken Saunders, who passed away recently, Rotarian, and his wife, Barbara. The funeral is Sunday at 2 p.m. at Northminster Church in Finneytown, with a reception following at the Wyoming Country Club. Molly Brindell, will you lead us in our prayer and four-way test?
Thank you, President Doug. Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests. Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for the meal that we're enjoying when so many people do not have food on their tables. Thank you for all the blessings that you've bestowed upon us, and teach us to show gratitude for all that we have. We ask for your guidance and support as we make decisions that affect the lives of others less fortunate than ourselves. Please show us ways to reduce the violence in our community, especially as it affects children. We pray for peace in our city and around the world. We ask these things in your name, Almighty Father. Amen. Amen. And now let us recite the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, Molly. You may be seated. And as we're seating ourselves again, let's give a big, warm congratulations to today's meeting sponsor. Many of you know this gentleman. He's been a member of Rotary since 1994. He was president of this club in 2011 and 2012. Many of you remember when we used to have a popularity contest to pick our president, and he beat me in that popularity contest back in 2011 and 2012. Please give a warm welcome and congratulations to our meeting sponsor, Carl Kappas. Carl, stand up. All right, Brad McMonigal, will you please introduce us to our visiting Rotarians and guests?
Thank you, Doug. Welcome this afternoon to the Rotary Club, fellow Rotarians and maybe future Rotarians. So I do have the pleasure of introducing our guests today. Clay Gross, Plumtree Realty. If you could stand so we could recognize you. Guest Michael Jackson. Walter Mitchell, L2T Products and Services. Guest of Michael Jackson. Peter Zuthan, Nordic Trading, LLC, guest of Doug Bolton. We also have a group of grant recipients with us here today. So representing the Ensemble Theater, we have Jennifer Joplin. Please stand. With Mad Kicks, we have Marlene and Steve Tice. And with Ohio Valley Voices, we have Maria Centelic and Kristen Stock. And then today's speaker's guests, we have Katie Cash, Stacy Lepton, Christopher Lips, and Orlando Santos. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you, Brad. Now your past president, Steve King, is going to introduce us to a new member. Steve?
Thank you, President Doug. Great to hold this microphone again, and great to introduce a new member to Rotary. This is Jason Rinsky. He and I have been friends for many years, and I have been trying to recruit him to Rotary for many years. I think, Jason, you attended your first meeting like 4 years ago. And good news for us, his schedule has leveled out, and now he has jumped in with both feet and joined the club here in December. Let's see, and by my count, not only is Jason a regular Thursday attendee, but he has subbed several times with the bowling group on Wednesday nights. Shout out to the bowlers. It's all handicapped. You're good, you're good. You attended a YP happy hour, Eric. You'd be happy to hear that, right? And he claimed first prize at a Rotary Euchre in December. I don't think they should give those to new members. But you also have to watch out because he's bringing his A game to Pickle Graw on Saturday. So watch out. Jason's a native Cincinnati, graduate of UC. He's passionate about seeing we have shout outs for UC, there you go. He's passionate about the Cincinnati region and seeing it succeed. His volunteerism reflects that. He's an active career coach with the Northern Kentucky Accountability Group. He's a mentor with SCORE, and he's a mentor at the DAV Entrepreneur Boot Camp. Jason's professional background has centered around staffing and recruiting, career coaching, and franchising, having been a franchise business owner not once, but twice. He currently practices as a franchise consultant, helping people evaluate whether franchise business ownership is right for them, and if so, a specific franchise to choose. On a personal note, Jason and his wife Heather are celebrating 26 years in 2024, and he and Heather are dinks who live in Hyde Park. They love travel, with cruising being their preferred method. Ask Jason about his recent cruise to the Caribbean or his upcoming cruise to Europe. Let's give a warm welcome to Jason Rinsky. You can always ask Jason about his bow tie collection, too.
Thank you, Steve. Welcome, Jason. All right, Eric Hill, let's do the announcement about the YP happy hour, so come on up.
Good afternoon, all. With the Super Bowl wrapped up this past weekend, I heard a few people say that it's officially baseball season. So I asked Sarah for the opportunity to come up here to tell you that is 100% incorrect. While baseball season is around the corner, it is officially March Madness season. Lucky for you all belong to an awesome Rotary Club with an awesome YP group that is putting together a viewing party for the opening day of the first round. There's flyers by the door if you didn't get one on your way, but please join us on March 21st at Element Eatery. Free event, happy hour specials, lots of TVs, appetizers provided. It's going to be a great time. Bring a friend, wear a jersey, sign up via DACTV, or you can scan the QR code on the flyer. See you there.
All right, as you heard in the introductions, we have some money to give out. So Chad and I are from the Foundation, please come forward with your guests, and we'll make those announcements. Chad? Come on forward.
Thank you, President Doug. So these three grant recipients faced some stiff competition. We had over 40 applicants. So all three of these recipients are very well deserving of the $5,000 grant we've made to each of them. Mad Kicks provides schools shoes and socks for children with cerebral palsy at Children's Hospital and have provided over 600 children with their services. Ohio Valley Voices is an early intervention program for young children that are deaf and hard of hearing. And they have found that early intervention, even as young as infants and toddlers, can improve outcomes. And they have graduated over 200 children to traditional schools. Last but not least, the Ensemble Theater has their Hunter Heartbeat program, which is used in performing arts to teach social, communication, and life skills to students with autism and other developmental disabilities. Jennifer?
Hi, I'm Marlene Tice, and I started Mad Kicks because of my daughter, Madison. She has cerebral palsy, and it has been a difficult road, especially when she was diagnosed. I am honored that God gave me her, and honored that I could start Mad Kicks to fill an unmet need that no one in the world that I can find has done. And I am truly honored, especially to you guys, for helping me continue my journey. I am a new organization, so I do appreciate your trust and your donation. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us here today. My name is Jennifer Joplin. I'm from Ensemble Theater. For almost 40 years, ETC, as we are known, has been bringing world and regional premieres to Cincinnati audiences. Vine Street has been home to our theater for over 3 decades, and ETC has been a proud neighbor and vital part in the OTR Renaissance. We have helped shape a thriving community of professional artists who call Cincinnati home, in no small part thanks to almost 400 theater artists who have graduated from our paid apprenticeship program at ETC. It is through this local talent and the generosity of funders like the Rotary Club that we continue to be one of the strongest theaters in this region. In 2019, Ensemble received the Ohio Governor's Award for Arts Education for our team's continued impact on students across this region, our neurodivergent programming, and our dedication to arts access for all. ETC's In-School series connects a love for theater with 21st century skills that build self-confidence and prepare kids for collaborative and creative problem solving. And our Fairy Godmother program buses over 2,000 students to our theater every year for a full-length musical production at no cost to them or their school. And we invite all of you to join us as audience members or as part of our Entourage volunteer program, helping to provide world-class theater for community members across this greater Cincinnati area. Thank you so very much.
Hello. First of all, I'd like to say, aren't they amazing? It's really an honor to be a part of this one, and thank you for honoring us and also giving us the opportunity to be nonprofits that do great work. Ohio Valley Voices teaches children who are deaf and hard of hearing how to talk. They don't sign. They come to us as young as 6 weeks old with parents that are frightened and scared because their child is deaf and they don't know what to do. We call it the walk. It's the walk where they realize that they can and have that dream that they believe of their small child, that child can learn to talk and be a part of the hearing world and society. And it's an honor to be a part of Ohio Valley Voices and watch these families. 83% of our children that graduate from our program, and we only go to the 2nd grade, leave our program talking within normal limits. That's cool. That's really cool. So, and we really support families in believing in the dream and just raising the bar, because if you raise the bar, they can meet it. So thank you so much for supporting us.
Thanks, Chad. Thank you, Chad, and thanks and congratulations to all of you. All right, announcements. 5 things for you to remember today. The Jefferson Awards nominations. So your favorite nonprofit, the nonprofit that you want to see recognized by this club on March 21st. Nominations technically due today, but Bill Shula, I think, is willing to accept your nominations if you get them in by 5 p.m. tomorrow. So again, is that correct? Awesome. Excellent. So make sure that you start on that this afternoon, and then Bill will accept those nominations through 5 p.m. tomorrow. Any history buffs in the crowd? We have a hands-on service opportunity with the History Challenge for middle school students at Seven Hills High School. That's Tuesday, February 20th. If you'd like to sign up for that, there's flyers in the back, or sign up directly with Seven Hills High School. Number 3, a professional development opportunity, part of our professional development series, happens on February 29th. At 11 a.m. here before our meeting starts. That event is being led by Nancy Han, and the title of it, you will not want to miss based on this title. How to Masterfully Navigate Connection and Communication in a World of Stress and Digital Distraction. Nancy Han is a master at that, and she will help guide us through all of the stress and digital distractions that I know all of us are facing. Number 4, ticket sales end tonight for Picklebras. So make sure that you go to DACDB, your favorite connection, Sarah Pattison, Christy Shushek. They will help you get tickets in the various ways that you can attend Picklebras on Saturday. And finally, number 5, our speaker next week is Brian Gwynn. He's the market president for Mercy Health. You will not want to miss this meeting, but remember that you gotta make reservations by 5 p.m. tomorrow. All right, split the pot. Melissa, I'm gonna have you pick 2 tickets. Just so I can keep you all in the game, I have a red ticket and I have a purple ticket. Okay? I'm colorblind, so this purple looks blue to me. So we have a blue ticket and a red ticket. All of those people who want me to read the red ticket, yell on 3. 1, 2, 3. Anybody who wants me to pull the purple ticket, yell on 1, 2, 3. All right. Audience says, purple ticket number 2338112. The winner gets $61. 233812, purple ticket. Owen Rassman, awesome! $61. You're donating it back. Very nice of you. Now, let's see if you can choose the Queen of Hearts for $1,562. It's not the Queen of Hearts. So we keep rolling. Awesome job. All right, let's hear it for our fabulous program chair, Al Conscious, introducing our speaker today. Big round of applause for Al.
Thank you, President Doug. Before I introduce our speaker, I wanted to call your attention to a new study that's out about golfers. And what they found was that the average golfer walks about 900 miles each year. They also found that the average golfer drinks about 20 gallons, 22 to be precise, of alcohol per year, which means on average, the average golfer gets about 41 miles to the gallon. Today we're very pleased to welcome Melissa Powers as the Hamilton County Prosecutor. She began her legal career in '91 working as an Assistant Prosecuting Attorney in Hamilton County's Juvenile, Municipal, and Common Pleas Courts. She also practiced in the Appellate Division. In '98, Melissa left the prosecutor's office to begin her private litigation practice. In 2016, Melissa was elected to serve on the Hamilton County Juvenile Court. There she presided over custody, dependency, and delinquency cases, including hundreds of violent felonies committed by juvenile offenders. Melissa was the Juvenile Court Administrative Judge from 2020 to 2022 and was responsible for managing 300 employees and a $35 million budget. On January 24th of 23, Melissa was sworn in as our Hamilton County Prosecutor. She is a lifelong Cincinnatian, graduating from Macaulay High School in '79 and the University of Cincinnati College of Law. She has served on numerous boards. Melissa is married and is a proud mother of 4 and a grandmother of 5. Please welcome Melissa Powers.
Well, thank you so much. It's a great honor to be here and to be able to address all of you and to speak. I've been very excited about attending this event and to talk a little bit more about me so you get an opportunity to know who I am and who your county prosecutor is and how I ended up here. Also, I wanted to be able to share with you all the great work that we're doing in the county. And then at the end, hopefully, we'll have time for questions, so that we can, I can answer maybe some of the things that interest you. So I started, as Al said, I'm in Hamilton County. I grew up here in Cincinnati, and I absolutely love our city, and I love serving others. I attended Macaulay High School, as he said, and grew up in Mount Airy. So when this opportunity, as far as becoming the prosecutor, you have to understand how important this office is to our entire community. Our community and the direction of our community, the future of our community really depends on how this office is operated. And I believe in accountability and leading the community to make sure that we have a safe Cincinnati and a safe place for families to live and for businesses to thrive. Being the prosecutor has been an absolute honor. It's a job that you have to want to do and to have a passion to do. And I started at law school as a county prosecutor, and I started in the Appellate Division. When I went through law school, I had no idea what kind of lawyer I wanted to be. And I love telling this story about how I ended up in the prosecutor's office. For 3 years, as you go through law school, my 3rd year I decided to take an internship. And the internship I wanted, because I always had an interest in fashion and clothes, I wanted to work at Federated Department Store, and I didn't get that job. I got assigned to the city prosecutor's office, and I was absolutely devastated, because for 3 years, all I said when anyone asked what kind of law I wanted to practice, I said, I don't know, but I guarantee you, and it definitely will not be criminal law. When I walked into the courtroom and saw the work that was being done and the cases, and I just admired the attorneys, I fell in love with the courtroom, and I never left it. I've had 3 decades of experience, 31 years exact, in the courtroom. One piece that Al forgot, I was in the municipal court. I ran 3 times to become a municipal court judge and won all 3 of those elections. And while I was there for 10 years, municipal court, I don't think we don't have anybody from our office. Oh yes, I do. Orlando's from Muni Court. So I always call that court the People's Court, because if any of us would have contact with the criminal justice system, it may be that court. If you wanted to fight a speeding ticket, or if you ended up, unfortunately, with a DUI, or there's something, some property crime happened, you could be a witness in that type of court, but you could also appear as a defendant to represent yourself in that court. It was there when I started seeing some of the veterans come back from Iraq on the drawdown, and realized that we needed to serve our veterans more. And I brought the first Veterans Treatment Court not only to Hamilton County, but to the state of Ohio. And my court that I developed has been highly successful, is still continuing on without me, and is now being used, and was at the time a model throughout the state of Ohio. So that was 10 years in my career was in Muni Court and helping our veterans. My career path, I believed, because I also not only did prosecution, but when I was in private practice, I would take public defender appointments. So I also have that knowledge and experience of representing those that may be charged with crimes and representing them zealously to protect their constitutional rights. But I also, as you know, I was a judge and you're a neutral arbitrator. And as a judge, you have an opportunity to try to redirect somebody and get them on the right path. It led me from dealing with the trauma that we saw with the veterans and PTSD to what's happening in juvenile court. And it was a perfect transition for me to go to juvenile court and work with our children. About 80% of the children that are in juvenile court have had contact with the Hamilton County Job and Family Services. So that means there's been a complaint or a case against their parent for abuse, neglect, or dependency. They also have trauma, significant childhood trauma. And so I was pretty excited this week to hear about the new initiative coming through the city that partnered with Children's Hospital to start building this trauma-based type of practice for long-term solutions. I spent every day in the courtroom, as I said, for 31 years. I think that's significant in order to do the job as a prosecutor. So this opportunity, I don't know if you know, I retired for 23 days from juvenile court and then was asked to take this position and to be sworn in. When I did that, I hit the ground running. I know how the office operates. I know the mission of the office, and I also believe in the office and the purpose, which is to make sure that our county is safe for everybody, all neighborhoods. And the best way to do that is to make sure we have accountability. There's a whole new attitude or philosophy that's sweeping through not only our court system, but you've seen throughout the country, that has a belief that maybe the way we're doing things, arrest, lockup, and rehabilitation on the inside isn't necessarily the right way to go. There's times for that, and there's times for the opportunities of second chances, there's times for diversion, and you have to have the experience to recognize that. But if you're a violent criminal, if you're somebody that puts the city or a person in danger, they need to be held so they don't come right back out into the same environment and possibly hurt and create another victim. So since becoming a prosecutor, I do want to just comment on my staff. There's some people that are still in the office that have continued to serve our community, that were there even when I was there and when I started in 91. But I inherited an incredible staff of attorneys that are so dedicated and they care deeply about protecting our community. I would also like to just make a comment about our law enforcement. Overall, and I would say in very, very general terms, they do an outstanding job. They work very, very hard. They are working and serving us to protect us, and we want to make sure that they have the resources to be able to keep us safe. We're seeing some problems, and I've been speaking quite a bit about it openly and publicly. I'm taking some heat for it as well, but I think you have to stand up for what is right and make sure that the public knows, the public understands that our judiciary in some circumstances can be failing us when they don't hold a violent criminal accountable or repeat offenders, keep letting them go out and keep letting them commit crimes when creating more victims. One example, you may have been hearing about our Chilean burglars, the ones that are coming in from Chile into our neighborhoods. Have you heard about them? They're a group of, they're very slippery, very hard to catch. We're getting updates on them all the time. We were very lucky. Amberley Village was able to apprehend 3 of them. One had actually swallowed a necklace, a diamond necklace, like a tennis necklace. And when they took him down to the Justice Center, when you're processed, you get x-rayed. It showed up on his x-ray. And that's how we knew he swallowed that before the cops took him into custody. They brought him up to University Hospital, and unfortunately they let him use the bathroom, and that went down the toilet. So instead of giving him a bucket so that we had the piece of jewelry to put him there, I don't know where the failures were in that whole debacle, whether it was the police department, UC security, I'm not sure what happened there. I didn't get those details. But we sent up a team of plumbers that went through the UC hospital plumbing system trying to track it down as well, and they were unsuccessful. I just thought that was interesting. But it wasn't for a lack of effort to try to locate that necklace. But the other two were released by judges. Now, it was brought to their attention that these were out of international organized criminals, and they gave them OR bonds, which means they were released with an ankle bracelet, and guess what they did? They cut the bracelet, and now they're back probably in another country, in their own country. So we can't hold them accountable. We also have judges, particularly I have one case that when I was actually a judge on the bench, and I don't know if you guys any had the case where the robbery, it was a robbery suspect that was apprehended, and one of the police officers testified it was one of the worst beatings of a robbery that occurred during a robbery. It was on a Hispanic person, and typically they don't come forward. And that judge in the sentencing asked that the penalty was make a new friend. So that person was not held accountable. These are some of the things that are happening in our judicial system. My final thing I want to talk about before I bring up and allow you to ask some questions are just the priorities of the office. And I've been kind of harping on that a little bit already, which is we want to make sure that we're holding violent or repeat offenders accountable. And if we don't do that, our business community, our neighbors, our neighborhoods, our small businesses will continue to suffer, and people won't feel safe. They won't feel safe to come downtown. They won't feel safe to live in their areas, and then businesses start moving out. We've seen this in some of the larger cities, and we don't want that happening here. My second priority is to make sure that we're smarter on how we prosecute. We're making a lot of investments in our software to make sure that, and technology, so that our office is efficient and our prosecutors have all the tools to be able to make sure that we can present our cases, evidence is getting to the defense, we're receiving evidence from the police departments, and that we can get to court quicker. As you know, with body cameras, that can take hours of redaction. And it can be make the process of the prosecution, getting the case into the courtroom, drag out a heck of a lot longer, and we're trying to get that shored up for the future. And then also continue to hold and make sure it's transparent to our community. The judges, it used to be we had newspapers in the courtroom that would make these reports, and we don't have that anymore. And so we bring that information to light basically through our social media. So that you understand, and we just state the facts, you can form your own opinions about what's occurring in the courthouse. With that, I'd like to go ahead and open it up for any questions that you have. You might have. Yes, sir?
So, a number of individuals are being caught, arrested. We go into the system, and then Cincinnati, Hamilton County is experiencing the catch and release program, and I guess some of that is based on the judge's discretion. My question is about capacity in the Hamilton County jails. Are they overcrowded, overpopulated?
They are not. They have the capability, as well as our juvenile detention centers, to hold people. They're just not doing it. When I was a judge on municipal court bench, and back then the sheriff Lease was in charge, we had those overcrowding issues. The philosophy at the bench has changed dramatically, and we don't have those issues anymore. But that shouldn't be, in my opinion, there's always ways to make things work. And if there is an overcapacity issue, you figure out the ways to make it work. And there's some low-level people or probation violation people that you might be able to make accommodations for. Everyone has gone to a lot of reliance on are the EMU ankle bracelets. That works in some circumstances, but if you have somebody that's going to abscond from the area, that's not a useful tool to keep them in the jurisdiction so we can prosecute. Thank you for the question. Yes, ma'am. So there is a statute, a law that is followed by the judges as to certain types of crimes that can apply to be bound over to the adult system. There are different factors that are all considered. They do a deep dive basically into the child. So first off, you have to establish, and I'll probably get a little technical here, probable cause. So there's a case that it goes to in front of the judge, and they decide, okay, there was a crime that was committed, and this person was identified as the person that perpetrated the crime. But you have, before you get there, you have to, in order to make that determination, what are the crimes, right? So it's usually crimes of violence, felonious assault, aggravated robberies, murder, any type of, those are the types, very serious charges first. Then you look at the age, and it could be anyone 14 and up. 14 to 18 can be charged as an adult with the bind-over process. So with the Marymount case, it was we operated much quicker than normal. Normally, if we do a press conference and bring this information to the community, we've had several days of the investigation or the investigation's completed. But this was such an ongoing, emergent issue. I wanted to make sure that the public felt at ease, the parents, the teachers, the students, that they felt safe because we felt the threat was contained. So we went out in front of that in order to preserve whether or not he'll be facing a bind-over, the adult process, and that motion. We preserved it by filing it simultaneously with the complaint. That doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes it's the complaint, we review it, then make a decision, and then file for that motion. We did it all at the same time to preserve it because we were acting so fast. There's going to be a lot that happens in that case. That case, just so all of you know, I'm not going to give you too much detail, but I do want you to understand that that is continuing and ongoing. That investigation is still not over. You can imagine they're looking forensically at evidence. They're doing a deep dive into a lot of whether it's the computer, phones, etc., and that's going to take some time. So that case is going to continue to develop and go down our track. We don't know the direction completely on that. But what I do want everyone to know, and I wanted it to be very clear, if anyone has these thoughts that they think they might make this into a joke, that we're coming hard, we're going to come down hard like a ton of bricks to make sure that this is not going to be encouraged or thought that would be taken lightly by anybody else in our community. We want all our schools safe. We want all of our children safe, all our teachers safe. Nobody should have to worry about going to school that they wouldn't be safe, or no teacher should be concerned about it, being in front of children and not be safe. This whole thing, and what we're seeing recently in Hamilton County is the violence, the level of violence, and particularly with juveniles that's not being addressed and not being handled quickly. There's long-term solutions, there's intermediate solutions, but we also need solutions to be able to stop it now. And by stopping it now is taking them into custody and taking them off the streets. Make sure that they're off the streets. If we don't do that, just as we saw with the beatings downtown, the first beating, some of those kids overlapped into the second beating. We had 2 kids that were released the first night. Nothing happened to them. Why would they be concerned about doing it again the next night? So if we don't use accountability, it just perpetuates, enables, and emboldens those that want to commit crime. We also had the student teacher in Coleraine Township. That student was initially given Do you remember the Coleraine teacher that was beaten so badly? A 60-year-old teacher, just to refresh your memory, beaten so many times in the head that they had to remove her skull cap because of the brain swelling. She was in the hospital for weeks. I think just recently has been able to walk unassisted. The information was brought down to court when this child appeared in the courtroom and was told about the brain swelling, the immediate operation to relieve the pressure with the skull cap, and was given an OR bond, which means they just walk out with a new court date. Our office, thankfully, they're texting me, the prosecutor's in the courtroom. We immediately get an objection file, which gave us the capability to go from a magistrate to the judge, got it in front of the judge, so the judge made the call, and then that judge held the child. Every 2 weeks, they'll be asking to have him released. And you're seeing some information about him out in the media too. As you know, the defense may put that out there. We hold our cards closer, so you just have to put faith in our office that what we're doing is the right thing. If in the case of sympathy, empathy, compassion needs to be given, we are all for that. And I'm very much in favor of providing compassion and empathy when necessary. I'm very in favor of diversion programs, redirecting people, getting people on the right track, because not everybody is the violent person or the dangerous person that needs behind bars. We want to save that tool for the most dangerous so that we remain safe. Yes, sir.
You mentioned holding unlawful citizens accountable. Who's holding the judiciary accountable? Is it just voters, or is there part of judiciary who are appointed, such as magistrates?
The judiciary, he wanted to know who's holding the judiciary accountable, basically, right?
Yes.
Is it the voter, or is there a council of some sort? Is that about right?
Yes.
Okay. It is just the voters. They are accountable to the voters. And a lot of them want to operate without shedding light on what's happening and in the dark. And so they're not happy that or our office is exposing and making sure that people know what's going on. And then you can take it to, we've got 3 more years on some of these judges. They're in for 6-year terms. That's why knowing your judges can really make a difference on the direction of our community and whether or not we'll be safe or not. So, yes, sir.
Just a follow-up. Is there some kind of a scorecard on the judiciary that voters can look at?
Unfortunately, there's not. I don't believe so. I'll turn to some of my staff. They may be aware of anything. The only thing we've got is right now social media or our website, our Hamilton County website, prosecutor's website, if you wanted to follow along, because we're putting information on those that do a good job and those that aren't. Yeah, that you can decide who you think is doing the right job. We're just putting the facts out. Yes, sir. The question was, is there anything as far as prevention? What do we do for prevention down the road? I think we've got to start for children and dealing with juvenile crime. You need to make sure that we're starting earlier and earlier interventions. And I'm talking before 9 years old. Some of these children that I saw as a judge in juvenile court, we get the psychologicals. We do all the behavioral health assessments and psychological evaluations and a family history and social history to be able to understand what programs, if any, we can be able to provide not only to the family but to the child. But by the time we start seeing the kids at 13, 14, they've had quite a few. They've had problems in school, behavioral problems, truancy problems, and those are big stems. It goes back even farther. It goes back to the home, and it goes in the home whether it's from poverty, evictions, being moved, not having home stability. There's a lot of different things that if they can't break the cycle of poverty, they're stuck in. But they're also where there's childhood trauma and significant trauma. So it could be from they witnessed violence in the home being committed by a male against their mother, such as domestic violence. It could be their older brother was shot or was murdered. I mean, these were very common, and how that affected the child. That's why if we can deal with childhood trauma, early childhood trauma, and get it before 9 years old, I think we've got a wonderful way to start preventing what's happening and getting them on a different course. As they start to get older, it's harder and harder, and I'm not saying it's impossible to effect any change or redirection or rehabilitation. We've had some success with that as well, but it's not as common and as frequent. Those resources to children and families, particularly the underprivileged, the underserved, is where we need to focus. Our schools are important, keeping a child in school. If we could graduate, there are statistics out there, if you could graduate a child from high school, they've got a good chance of not going to prison. I think it was like 80% of all inmates, federal and state, don't have a high school education. So if we can keep them in high school and graduate from high school, we've got a good shot to keep them out of prison. So truancy is a big problem. And how do we direct it? There's a program out at Northwest Schools that have been very involved with the Coleraine Township officers, and I can't remember if there's another jurisdiction involved, where they brought wraparound services into the schools. As soon as they start seeing behavioral problems with the kids, they started deep diving into what's going on with the family and looking at the environment and what resources can we have. They had truancy problems. Is it because the child cannot, that's their car for the mom to bring the child or whatever it may be? They were doing the problem solving right away. And they've had great success graduating their kids from school and keeping them in school and out of trouble in the criminal justice system. Programs like that where there's results and data to back it up. When I was in juvenile court, there's a national program called Youth Advocate Program. It's mentoring children in their community by community members. And it's an incredible program, 98% success rate for high-risk youth. These were young men that were involved, had firearms, gangs. They were involved heavily, and we're able to, we could get them working with that mentor. We could keep them out of the criminal justice system, and we had success rate. We tracked them for 2 years, and we're able to keep them out. So there are programs. It's just getting those resources and getting enough people involved. Thank you. I don't know if I'm out of time. Am I? No? Okay, yes, sir. The bail reform? I'm not in favor of the bail reform because the bail reform is no bail. What I believe is that you need to be able to hold people in jail while they're waiting trial if they're violent and dangerous, and that public safety must be considered. That has to be the primary focus, is public safety in setting bail. Your second set of consideration is, will they come back to court and stay, when they have the next court date if they were released. So will they stay in the jurisdiction and appear in court? But the primary one is our safety. And far too often we're not seeing it. If you have no cash bail, I understand the argument is, one, they're innocent until proven guilty. Is that one of the things that you've heard? Maybe. That's one of the arguments that's made, but that is a concept that's used for trial. So they're taking a trial concept and applying it from the get-go. As a judge in municipal court, you set the bail. So every municipal court judge are the ones that set the bonds. And when you receive the complaint and you're getting the information, you've got a background of, do they have ties to the community? Are they employed? Do they own a home? You're looking at a lot of different information very quickly, but you're also looking at information that is provided to you by law enforcement. So the first thing that should stand out right off the bat is, what is the charge? If the charge is a charge of violence, we want to make sure that we're paying particular attention to public safety. If it's a shoplifting offense, maybe not so much, right? So just on simple things, you can make very quick decisions. The innocent until proven guilty doesn't apply here because you're presuming you have to assume the complaint is true because your focus is on the safety of the community. If I release this person, will this person create another victim, hurt somebody else? And that's what you're looking at. So that's why you presume it's true. The concept of innocent until proven guilty does not apply. So don't let them confuse you. Yes, sir.
I hope I can articulate this. Let's say a 15-year-old juvenile commits a homicide, doesn't get remanded to adult court, is convicted. And my understanding is they're in a juvenile facility until they're 21.
Yes, sir.
What happens after they're 21?
They may have some parole obligation, but that's it. Yes. Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
There's been a study that I saw recently online that compared judges making judgments on particular cases and then AI going head to them. And it was very, very interesting. The idea being taking emotion out of sentencing. I wonder from your perspective, will AI ever help take emotion out of charging?
Wow, I don't have an answer to that. It's a great question. It's something I've never thought about. This AI is kind of scary stuff. I haven't used it or explored much of it. One of the initiatives I started in, this doesn't answer your question directly, but my only contact basically is with AI is involving with my elder justice unit. Because we're trying, I don't know, this was one of my initiatives I started was to protect elderly people from getting scammed, but also to put a focus on prosecuting those that want to hurt older people, making sure that we get the most efficient and effective results. But with AI they're calling up, pretending to be a family member to trick them into sending money to them. And that's my only contact, but I'll have to look at that more. Thank you. Yes, sir. You're right. I think there is a point where where you lose confidence in the judiciary when there's this conversation. The conversation has to be, though, I think the public should be informed also. So it's a difficult balance, but I agree with you. That definitely there could be a close line where the confidence could be lost. We see it quite often, just even in the most vulnerable communities, where they know that nothing's going to happen. So let's say a violent crime occurred and the witness will not come to court because they're fearful nothing's going to happen in court. So we've already had some erosion on these very loose policies, not holding people accountable, where we're having trouble getting witnesses to come because they think that the person won't remain in jail, so it's not safe for them to testify, or it's not safe for them to contact the police or to come into court. We also see where there's street retribution and retaliation and revenge, which just keeps fueling the violence as well. And again, it's the lack of the entire criminal justice system, not just the judiciary. Yes, sir. Yes, in the back.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. My question is that I believe most of us in here are Christians. And so when we read our Bible from Proverbs, it says that we should train up a child the way he should go. And I've seen that they've given the children upper hands over the parents. And so it's hard for the parents to discipline the children at home. So I believe all this chaos and all these crimes is from the home. My question to you right now is that if the table is turned a little bit and they are giving the parents a little bit room for discipline, I'm not talking about abuse. If they allow the parents to discipline the children more, can't we see a change in our community? Thank you.
You're welcome. I couldn't hear all of that question, so I apologize if I'm not answering it directly, but I believe in discipline. I grew up in a home with strong discipline. I went to Catholic schools. Those nuns were very discipline-oriented. You didn't get away with anything. I'm a rule follower. I think children need structure. They thrive with structure. I think they thrive if there's consequences to their actions. So I'm a true believer in all of that as well. Anybody else? Okay. Did I take my time? It looks like I did. Thank you so much, everyone.
So Melissa, I know there's a lot of people in our community that are very, very glad that you did not get that internship at Federated Department Stores. You know, corporate law is so boring anyway. So on behalf of our Rotary Club, I'd like to present you with a coin that has our beautiful skyline on the front, as well as our four-way test on the back. Hopefully, it sounds like you use our four-way test in many ways in your decision-making, and we hope this helps remind you of that. We're also making a donation in your name to the End Polio Now campaign at Rotary International. Thank you again. Let's give her a big warm welcome. All right, committee meeting immediately following our meeting today. Membership development, very important as membership development continues to work on its strategy. Make it a great day. Continue to create hope in this world. Meeting adjourned.